and welcome to Fact Schmacks. It's the podcast good enough to get you a C.
Minus.
My name is Matt, and I have a story to tell.
And my name is Kev, and as always, have a story to interrupt.
You know what? Like a tiny little bird, I think we're about ready to release that into the wild and no longer grade it.
I would hope so.
No longer grade it episode by episode how we are doing with our intro and whether it
I think we got it down pat now.
I think we got it.
We got it.
Oh, goodbye to a good bit. So
now we'll change it up.
Yeah, we're going to find a new one. As always, Kevin is going to start us off with our Facts Schmacks game.
I sure am.
Lay it on me, baby.
We're rolling into December here. I mean, we're in December. It's December 10th as we're recording this. So, of course, this is the time of year we're all thinking about the holidays. So do I have some Christmas facts schmacks for you? I certainly don't. However, I do have some, holidays, I guess.
Okay.
So, fact or schmacked, the most common holiday celebrated worldwide in 62 countries on average every 6 days is, take a guess.
It'd be the Sabbath, right?
No.
Celebrated
that's
every
good guess.
6 days?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Independence from the British.
There's an oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, Canada Day, that's independence from the British.
Sure.
July 4th is independence from the British.
Uh-huh.
There's other ones. That's all I know.
Okay. Every 6 days there's an Independence Day from the British. On average. Oh, okay. So there are bigger gaps. It's just if you add them all up and divide it by the number of days in the year, it's going to be like 1 out of every 6. That sort of...
And I wouldn't necessarily say that it is every 6 days. I don't know that. That's not a fact that I know of. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Okay. Fact or schmacked. In Papua New Guinea, I have a hard time saying that.
Yeah.
There's a day set aside for Christmas, but it's not December 25th.
Oh.
It's November 20th.
All right.
Okay.
They just got their own thing.
Yeah. And
love it.
How much do you know about the Chinese New Year?
Oh. I know some things.
Did you know that it triggers the largest annual migration with an average of 3.5 billion journeys?
3.5 billion journeys. That's odd wording. So 3.5, that's too many. That's like every person in China going somewhere twice.
Okay.
Right?
Is it? I don't know.
Well, there's 1 billion people in China. So if it's 3.5 billion journeys, to where?
I don't know.
Journeys to where? But you had so many details about the other ones.
Did I?
Well, you had details about the first one anyways.
This show's always been classically lacking in the detail department. So
that is true. Okay, what was the second one again? Sorry.
In Papua New Guinea, there is a day set aside for Christmas, but it's not December 25th. It's November 20th.
It's November 20th. Which is so believable. Why? But why do they do this?
I don't know. We need a ticker. Like a Jeopardy ticker.
Do I have a time limit?
Yeah, well, we need as much content as we can get, even if it's dead air.
And that first one, okay, so how many different countries would have to be liberated from the British Empire? It seems believable, but it just 6 seems maybe too low.
Every 6 days.
Yeah, but
on average,
I would believe every 12 days or every 24 days or something.
Well, if you took 62 and divided it by 365, I'm pretty sure the number would be not 6, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's true-ish. All right, I'm gonna go with the third one being the schmacked.
I win.
Oh, what was the schmacked?
The schmacks was Papua New Guinea. It's Christmas, man. It's Christmas everywhere. Christmas for the W.
That was a good one. I really like that first fact. That was amazing.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, Papua New Guinea has an Independence Day. I'm assuming it's from the British. I didn't dig that deep. You know how I roll.
Yeah.
It's September 16th.
Oh, okay.
I would assume it's independence from the British. But who knows? Maybe if you're out there listening and you live in Papua New Guinea, you know the answer.
Us know.
Let us know. Say hi. You
They
can
would
hit
have
us
been
up on
Papua New Guinea's
Facebook and Twitter.
South Pacific, right? It could have been from the Japanese in World War II, too. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I saw Independence Day for their holidays, and I was like, yeah, it's good enough.
I also saw Independence Day. It was nice little Jeff Goldblum number.
It was a great movie.
Great movie.
Classic.
Well, I mean, it was not a great movie at all, but...
Well, I mean, for the time. It was a blockbuster.
So I want to talk about... We're going to mercifully get away from science here. And I want to talk about something... This does involve numbers, though. Something called the birthday paradox.
This is Matt's musing, of course.
This is Matt's musing.
Okay.
You're in a group, and there's 22 other people in that group. And you're talking to people, and the subject of birthdays comes up, and wouldn't you know it, you share a birthday with one of those 22 other people. And you think, oh my God, that's amazing. That's a real coincidence. So my question to you is, do you think that is a really amazing coincidence?
That out of 22 people, you're likely to
23
share
people.
23.
That there's a birthday in common between those 23 people.
You know, our listener, our main listener and I share a birthday.
There we go. And you've got certainly less than 22 friends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We have less than 22 listeners. So there you go. Right there. I think it's 100% plausible.
100% plausible, but do you think it's likely? Just gut reaction. Don't think about it too much.
I think it's possible. I don't think it's likely. I think it's possible.
Okay. All right. So the number 23 isn't just a number that's randomly pulled out of one's anus. That's the number where it becomes at least 50% likely to happen. There's at least a 50-50 chance that that's going to happen in a group of 23 people.
So 50% of the time, it works 100% of the time.
You're right. And the reason that's a paradox, it's not really a paradox at all. Statistically, it's just something that makes 100% sense. But we don't think about statistics innately as people. We've got a really good grasp of like adding things together. But when it comes to some of the weirder parts of statistics, we're just not really that in tune with how they work. Like, for example, when most people think about that problem, you start to think about, okay, so 23 people, they're each comparing birthdays. So what is that, like, 40 chances at a slot machine that has a 1 in 365 chance of winning. And that's actually not the case. It doesn't work like that. They stack on top of each other. They don't just double like that. So, the first person has to compare his birthday against 22 other people. The next person compares their birthday against now 21 other people because they've already compared their birthday with the first person. The next person compares their birthday with 20 other people, and so on down the line. It winds up being that rather than, being like, 40 or however many pulls at the slot machine with a 1 in 365% chance of hitting a jackpot, it's actually there's 253 pulls at that slot machine by the time you factor in all these 23 people, making it 50% or more likely that two people will share a birthday in that small of a group.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's really neat. I know another statistical fact that I think it was like 6 out of 5 people don't understand fractions.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 3 types of people, those who can count and those who can't.
So that's your musing for the day.
That's my music for the day. Just aren't statistics interesting, and boy, aren't they counterintuitive to the way we think about the world most of the time.
It is kind of neat sometimes when you hear the odds. Never tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds.
So we're gonna add a little extra segment in here. So if you haven't figured out yet, if you're a listener, Matt does very in-depth research for every show. Like, I mean, scholar worthy. I myself, I don't even know what the topic is until he tells me. Like, I have no idea what we're talking about today, much like the listener. And probably by the end of the show, I also won't have any idea what we're talking about today, much like the listener. But one of the things is, because of that, when I say something, it's like Swiss cheese. Like, I found the piece of cheese with the information on it. There's just a lot of holes in it. So last week we talked about nuclear bombs and radiation, and I gave some wrong information. So I just like to kind of clarify a little bit of that. So last week I said a sievert and a rem had like a factor of 10. Well, I was 10 times wrong. It's a factor of 100. So
wow.
1 sievert equals 100 rem, and then the other thing I was wrong about is saying 100 rem was fatal. I believe 100 rem, and I might be doing another callback to this later. I'm pretty sure that's the threshold where you can get like radiation sickness, but
you might live.
Death from radiation. So the number is an expected death of 50% of the people within 30 days. The threshold for that is 400 to 450 rem or 4 to 5 sieverts. So the fatal dose for half the population, I guess, so some people will die, some people won't, is 4 to 450 rem, which is a fair bit. And then the other thing we talked about was the blue glow that you get from a radioactive source.
Oh, and whether that was the Cherenkov effect or the Higgins effect?
It is the Cherenkov effect. It's named after Soviet physicist Pavel Cherenkov. He shared the 1958 Nobel Prize for that discovery. And there is so I had said the Higgins effect, and I think I had that in my head because you were talking about like dark matter and stuff. Like, isn't that the Higgs boson?
Oh,
particle?
the Higgs. I was talking about the Higgs field.
So I think that just got in my head.
Okay.
And so that's pretty interesting little effect that you get from radiation in water. You get a nice blue glow. It's very
the Cherenkov effect.
Not the Higgins effect. But so
you get it in air too, because it ionizes. You can just see it through water.
It's through water because the medium is thicker. So they actually liken it to like basically almost like a sonic boom, because the particles are traveling through the medium so fast that it excites the protons and they basically luminesce, I guess. It's kind of the layman's way that I read it on Wikipedia, which is, as we know, the gold standard for this podcast.
For sure. And definitely understanding quantum physics is like super easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important to us here to get those details right.
I heard a great thing about quantum physics was like the first time you hear something about quantum physics, it'll just break your brain and you won't understand it at all. And then the next time you hear about it, you'll go, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before."
Still don't understand.
You still don't understand it. You're just like, okay, well, I understand that's a thing, so I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah, totally. So that's the old Fact Schmacks QA, or quality assurance, FSQA.
In terms of for my part, like if I say the first episode, I went back and I corrected a few things that I knew that were obviously wrong, and there has been a few things that I've gotten wrong, so I'll make a note of them if I recognize them. But I tend not to want to research something after I've already gone through and done it. But if anyone who's listening like notices something I've said wrong, like more than willing to correct it. Like, absolutely, I don't want to be just some asshole that's saying things that are wrong. The point is that we don't have a lot of information. I think the point is that we don't have a lot of information.
Yeah, we're just kind of steering through.
Yeah,
we're having a little fun with the subject, and hopefully, if you like it, you go dig a little deeper yourself if you want.
Yeah. So speaking of having fun with the subject, we're not going to have any fun with today's subject.
Oh, is it happen to be like historical and dark and full of death and murder and destruction?
Well, it's a lot more recent than historical. This actually does kind of veer slightly into true crime, which isn't really what this podcast is, but it's a really, really interesting story. But I do have to give a trigger warning off the hop. This story does involve some pretty dark things. There is some cruelty to animals. Yeah, there is some rape, sexual assault involving minors.
Oh, Jesus, man.
I know.
Why'd you have to pick such a downer? Can we have one happy episode? Just one.
We'll try.
Humor me.
But you'll see why this is kind of a story worth at least telling. So there was this piece of shit who...
Just a fucking garbage human being.
An absolute piece of garbage named Ken Rex McElroy.
That's a stupid name. I don't know. I'm sorry. I always make fun of names.
Yeah. He's born June 1st, 1934. He's the 15th of 16 children.
God damn. People needed hobbies back in the day. Really? After 3 kids, shut it down.
I'm not going to pass any judgments. I got a family, or I got my cousin, or my dad's cousin, so my second cousin has 12 kids or something. So, and they live out in a farm out in the country. So I'm not going to pass any judgments on that.
Oh, God.
But I'm going to refer to him alternately as McElroy, as Rexy, because I think that's funny, but probably most of all as a piece of shit.
Okay.
Because that's what he is. Migrant tenant farming family moved between Kansas and the Ozarks before arriving outside of a town and settling down. Town's called Skidmore, Missouri.
That's amazing.
This kid...
We'd fit in there in our beaters.
Yeah, we would.
Just for the record, Matt and I tend to record only in, what do you call these, tank tops?
A white undershirt.
A white undershirt with no sleeves. It's become a thing for us.
It's our little joke, and we look at each other on the cameras and we laugh.
Sometimes we flex for each other.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
All right, carry on.
This guy dropped out of school at the age of 15. He was in the 8th grade, which you can do the math on that one.
Man, wow. That's worse than I was.
He should not have. Yeah. So school wasn't really in his future. Quickly became known as a cattle rustler, a thief, and a womanizer.
I'm sorry, a camel rustler?
No, cattle rustler.
Oh, I thought you said camel wrestler. I was like, man,
no.
What, aside from making babies, what did they do for entertainment back in that day?
Dude, if he was a camel wrestler, this would be the happiest story we've ever told.
Dude, I want you to find a story of a camel wrestler where the camel wins.
Yeah, obviously.
That's the true happy story. Otherwise, it's just animal cruelty.
Yeah, it's just a bummer if the camel doesn't win.
Okay, so he wrestles cattle, and he's kind of a ne'er-do-well.
He steals livestock is what he does, and he's very good at it, and he sells it, and so he's got a lot of money. And he manages to get charged for crimes, around the town quite often. He would catch charges for doing various things. We'll kind of get into, the sort of things that he did, the more serious things that he did in a little bit here.
He's already kind of reminding me of my Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2. That's kind of how I rolled. Stole a lot of cattle, had a lot of money, racked up a lot of charges.
Did you have a big city lawyer that would get you out of basically all of your charges?
My big city lawyer was my 6-shooter.
Yeah. Well, so that's not, maybe this is sort of like your Arthur Morgan. So he did have this big city lawyer that would come and kind of bail him out. And he was charged with 21 crimes, 21 times, and all but 20 of them he was acquitted from.
No kidding.
In his life. So we're going to start really getting into kind of the specifics of what a piece of shit this guy was with his third wife, who you can find out what her name is if you want. I'm making the conscious decision to not name her because, he started dating her, and I'm putting dating in heavy quotation marks, when she was 12. And he was 30. So there's no consent there. There's that idea doesn't exist in that sort of relationship. He's already married at this point. He's married to a lady named Alice.
This guy is a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. This is just this is dipping your
the beginning of the story.
Yeah, and you're already like, fuck this guy. Yeah. He gets her pregnant when she's 14.
Oh boy.
And she goes to live with him and his wife. Now that's a crime, right? To get somebody pregnant at that age. That's statutory rape.
Yeah. Was it back then? Like, I feel like people could get married super young back then.
Even then and even there, that was a crime.
I mean, it's wrong, of course, but like,
so
it was a legit crime back then.
Oh yeah, it was a legit crime. And so in order to get out of being charged for this, he divorced his current wife, Alice, and he married this girl.
So that's what I'm saying, though. Like, back in the day, you could marry somebody that young as long as you were married.
Well, and I think you needed the parental consent.
That's so
weird. He wasn't really getting parental consent, so he had to really go through a courtship ritual here. And so to give you an idea of what it was like to be courted by Rexy, the piece of shit, he burned down the parents' house and shot their dog.
Wow.
Yeah. That's Jesus. How he... And then something he would do kind of frequently. So he burns down their house. He shoots their dog. They relent because, wow, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah, next time he's burning us.
Right.
Yeah.
So she goes back and lives with them, and he marries her to beat these charges of statutory rape because she'd be the only witness, and she can't testify at the time. You wouldn't be able to testify against your husband legally in that time, I believe. She at one point she has the baby, and after she has the baby, she tries to take the baby and flee to like an uncle's house. So this maniac goes back to the parents' house, burns down their house again, and shoots their dog again. God, I don't know if this was the same dog or if this is a different dog, but this guy's like an absolute lunatic.
All right, now I just need to ask a question, because the one thing that I've established from all your stories of history, is life is cheap. Why didn't the dad just shoot this son of a bitch?
It's a really good question, because he was scary. I think
but he's not scary if he's dead. I'm just saying, I'm not advocating murder per se. This is a not good dude. He's burned down your house.
Maybe put a pin in the idea that he's not scarier than a bullet.
Somebody shot John Wick's dog, and he killed like 100 people. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, scale-wise, this isn't as bad. He's just one dude.
He did get, at one point, sent to jail over this whole thing. Like, they did try and charge him with the statutory rape thing, and his third wife was sent to a foster home. Now, because he had this fancy lawyer... Yeah, because he had this fancy lawyer, and he never spent more than a night in jail, so he's out of jail the next day. And what he would do is he would park outside of the house of these foster parents at all hours of the night. He would stare at them. He'd fire his shotgun into the air. Police didn't do anything about it. He would threaten the family that he was going to take their daughter instead, saying to them that he was going to trade them girl for girl. So like he harassed them for months like this absolute piece of garbage. So eventually the third wife went back to him, and he faced no consequences for doing what he did. Mostly because, this is what he did. Whenever he got in trouble, he'd get out on bail right away, and then he would harass the shit out of victims and witnesses until they wouldn't testify against him.
Right. It's kind of a classic tough guy move back in the day.
And it's a small town, and there's not enough law enforcement to deal with them, so he bullied and terrorized this town for like 30 years.
I hope this story has a happy ending.
The next thing
I'm not sure where this is going, but
yeah, I know, because it's such an awful fucking story.
Why are we talking about this guy?
Why are we talking about this guy?
I'm sure there's a point to it.
The next thing that happens with this guy is on July 27, 1976.
Whoa. 1976?
Yeah.
Oh, he was born in 34. So I'm like, for some reason I'm picturing him like
the stuff.
Yeah,
the stuff that
30s.
happens. Yeah, the stuff that happened with the wife is like happening in 73.
Oh wow, yeah. 34. Yeah, okay.
July 27.
Hold on a sec. Doesn't that make him like 40?
He is born in what?
44,
34?
54, 64, 74. That would make him closer to 40.
Closer to 40, yeah, by the time that's going on.
Well, that saves us from a correction next week. So it's even creepier.
It's way creepier.
Yeah.
Oh.
Late 30s. Okay.
Skin crawling. July 27, 1976, he is on this guy named Romaine Henry's property firing off weapons. I don't know, just being a piece of shit, firing off weapons on someone's property. This guy goes and confronts him, and he shoots him. Like, on his own property, this McElroy piece of shit shoots this Henry guy for asking him to not fire weapons on his property. So he gets arrested for that. The guy survives, but he does get arrested. But, of course, he is out on bail right away and pulls exactly the same shit. Guy says over 100 times he parks outside of his house for hours at a time, firing off weapons, directly threatening. The guy still actually went through and took this thing to trial. And then when it got to trial, two of McElroy's buddies get up on the stand and say he was hunting with them miles away. He wasn't there. And it's their word against his because there's no physical evidence. So he just got acquitted anyways.
That's so greasy.
Yeah. At this point, everybody in this town knows who this guy is and knows like what's going on. I should say, I'm going to say right now, this is a story of 3 shootings, and that was the first.
Okay.
They've been dealing with this shit for years, and they've been seeing him get off time and time again. The second shooting happens in 1980 and starts with a dispute over a single piece of candy.
I would shoot a man for candy. Let's be honest. That's my candy.
There's these 70-year-old people named Ernest Bowenkamp and his wife Lois, and they run a little grocery store. And one of their clerks caught a little girl stealing a piece of candy and told her that stealing is wrong. But apparently even let her keep the piece of candy, but just like gave her a little lecture and sent her on her way. Well, it turns out it was McElroy's kid. It was piece of shit's kid with the wife. The third wife.
So not to be slanderous, but the kid's kind of developing a little bit of a little bit of a streak for the deviants.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to,
Well, we won't patch it. Every kid steals something at one time,
right?
Yeah, we've all done it.
But I guess the mother comes and just starts tearing a strip off of these people. She comes back with. Parent. Right. Yeah. Helicopter terrible parent. She comes back with the husband and screams at them again. And then same thing starts happening. The husband just starts stalking this family for over a piece of candy. Like, it's unbelievable behavior, but he's stalking them. He's sitting outside their house at all hours of the night, again, doing the firing off guns so they can't really sleep. They can't get outside to do yard work because they don't want to get into a confrontation with them. Finally, things kind of come to a head. The guy's outside. The old man is outside of his business waiting for a delivery person or a repair person, I think. And he runs into McElroy, and they get into an argument, and McElroy shoots him in the neck with a shotgun.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's got to be fatal.
You would think.
What?
But this fucking champ, this 70-year-old absolute champ survives. Good for him.
Well, he's probably like an old war vet. He's like, fuck you, I took on the Nazis, you motherfucker. I'll be back for you.
Yeah. He does survive. And, McElroy is arrested and charged with attempted murder.
And gets out on bail?
Gets out on bail. He never spends more than one night in jail.
How?
Because he gets out on bail. I don't know why they're not keeping...
This lawyer must be like slick as can be. This is like the Saul Goodman of the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm picturing too, because there are allegations that maybe this guy was connected to the mob. And
oh, yeah. He's got some flashy suits and fast talking. And
he's a fast talking big city lawyer, and he knows the law. There's 2 things that happen here. he is charged, he's charged. He's attempted with attempted murder. He ends up getting convicted of I think a second-degree assault, which is not attempted murder, but it is something you would go to jail for. So it's the first thing he's ever been actually convicted of. But he appeals it right away, and he gets out. He's not in jail until he exhausts his appeal, so he's still out in the community while this is going on.
Wow,
which is kind of unbelievable at this point.
And like back in the day, if you had like a half bag of weed, even a roach, you could just go to jail, and that was it. A couple months
but
in jail.
Somehow this guy's been terrorizing this town for like 30 years at this point, and they can't do a goddamn thing about it. There's two things that allegedly happen here.
Allegedly.
I have heard that they did happen. I haven't seen anything that said they didn't, but I'm going to put a heavy alleged because they don't paint law enforcement in a very good light. I'm not like, I don't want to be, I'm just saying I don't like slandering direct people. So I like putting an allegedly
we don't want to
in
get
front
sued.
of it.
I mean,
right. Exactly. So allegedly, the townspeople went to the town marshal and said, you need to do something about this, basically. So this town marshal goes and finds him, tries to arrest him, and Rex pulls a gun on him. And the marshal quits his job.
I mean, you've gotten away with it this far. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
You haven't learned your lesson.
No. And the marshal's just like, well, fuck this. I'm not going to deal with this. So he just quits his job. The sheriff, they went to the sheriff and said, what are you going to do about it? And the sheriff allegedly told people, should one of you shoot him, let us know and we'll collect the body before it stinks. So law enforcement is basically saying, we're not doing anything about this. It's before the courts or whatever, which is pretty wild compared to how some other people get treated by law enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think if you pulled your gun on a marshal,
you'd think that they'd just come back with 10 of them.
Yeah, that's just game over. Like you're probably going to go away for a couple of years. You've pulled a gun on a federal official.
Yeah. By this point, this guy is pretty empowered in what he's doing.
Well, yeah, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah. He's driving around town at this point carrying a rifle with a bayonet on it, telling people he's going to finish the job with this poor Ernest Bowenkamp. July 10th, 1981, the town has a meeting with the sheriff, like kind of in the assembly hall. During that meeting, it gets back to the men, gathered there that this McElroy guy is at the local tavern having a beer. And the sheriff, standing in front of all these people, encourages him or them not to get into a confrontation with this guy. And then he walks out of the building and he gets into his police cruiser and he drives out of town.
Oh, that's so convenient.
Very, very convenient. Meanwhile, more than
I wonder if he winked too. He's like, "Don't get in a fight now, boys." Hops in his car.
If he did, that's never been said. But yeah, so 30 people go to this bar, crowd into the bar, and tell this guy to fuck off, get lost. We want you to leave. And he sits there and he finishes his beer, and then apparently he bought 6 beers to go because apparently you could do that there. Which I guess you can do that here now in a lot of places.
Now, yeah. You can do that in Vegas. Like, you just grab beer, go walk around. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Gets into his truck. His third wife's sitting there. And out of the blue, shots fired. Multiple guns. Somebody grabbed the wife out of the truck and escorted her into a building. But when all tales told, the engine of the truck was revving because the foot of this guy was down on the accelerator from its weight. He was down against the steering wheel, dead. They found shells from 2 different types of guns, so at least 2 people shot him. The crowd went and checked to see if he was still alive, saw that he wasn't, and then everyone just left. Nobody called an ambulance. Nobody called the police. They just left.
Wow.
Yeah. The police showed up. Body was still exactly in that position. Foot down on the accelerator, engine revving. Guy slumped over the steering wheel. Nobody has ever said who pulled the trigger. In a crowd, there was at least 46 people who witnessed this. I actually shouldn't say nobody has ever said.
Well, it was Maggie Simpson. We all know who shot Mr. Burns.
Yeah. The wife did point the finger at somebody. I'm not going to name that person either. Even though you can find it on the internet, but like he was never charged. So she said that he did it, but nobody else would back her up. And I'm sure the police knew that if they ever brought it to trial, all it would take was 2 or 3 people in the crowd saying, "Well, I was still watching him. I didn't see him do it."
Yeah, to totally counteract it. Like,
right?
Yeah, we were hunting
3
across
against
town.
1. Yeah, right.
Man, that's
So
crazy.
yeah, nobody has ever been charged. This is still technically an open case. 46 people watched at least 2 people gun a man down. And you know what? I would not endorse vigilante justice at any time.
No.
I never would do that.
Like, Batman's cool and all, but
right. However, you can kind of look back at this one and be like, well, they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong.
No. I mean, he had it coming.
He really did.
If you're going to,
are they going to wait
piece
until
of
he?
Shit.
Yeah, for sure. There is a small proscript here. The third wife, she did file a lawsuit for $5 million against this person she alleged had killed
Allegedly.
him. And the city and the police. She wound up settling for $17,600 with nobody admitting any guilt. So
really?
she got fuck off and go away forever money.
Yeah, that's what you get, I guess. So this was the wife that was super young, stuck with him that whole time?
Yeah, she did. And, I kind of struggled with whether to mention her because she does become a part of, or like name her because, like I said, she's a matter of public record. She's in these lawsuits and stuff, and she did things as an adult that's noteworthy, but because her story starts, out of such a clearly abusive situation, I don't really feel comfortable,
Okay, interesting. She did things as an adult that were noteworthy, like good?
No, noteworthy in terms of the story. Like she did go and, she brought her husband into the situation where he wound up shooting Ernest Bowenkamp, right?
Yeah.
Over a piece of candy. She would be in the truck with him when he's stalking people. She was kind of very much his partner in crime.
Okay.
But, I also have a very easy time believing that, she's possibly abused.
She was definitely abused. And
she was certainly groomed. There's no doubt about that.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for another dark tale, Matt. Just give me one happy story.
What?
I can show my mom and be like, "Hey, Mom, look, we made this podcast. It's not full of death and murder and rape and pestilence."
Yeah, we've had all those things. I was thinking pestilence, no, but yeah, we've had pestilence. Yeah. There's no happy stories. There's
100% happy stories. There's got to be a happy story.
A happy story is a man goes home to his wife, every night.
I said a happy story, Matt.
But what I mean is a happy story is like nothing happens.
No, there's great achievements in life.
Yeah, sure.
There's always a dark side to it. You'd be like, yeah, they built the pyramids. It was slave labor.
It was not slave labor.
No?
No, that's an outdated view of they've more recently, discovered burial sites and stuff and realized that actually they were probably laborers that were paid reasonably well.
Oh.
They just did it the old fashioned way.
Brute force.
Well, no, actually no, the old fashioned way would be slavery. They were reasonably progressive with their labor apparently.
Okay. So why don't we tell that story?
Do you want to research it? Hey,
no, this isn't my job.
I'm going to tell that story right now. Hey, a guy wanted to build a big building, so he hired a bunch of people to do it. There you go. That's that story.
Oh, God. All right, let's wrap up this shit show here. I got Kev's closing fact for you.
All right. Can't wait.
Back to the whole December thing.
Mm-hmm. I really picked a bummer Christmas story. Huh?
No, that's probably your next episode. It's like a Christmas tale of death and destruction.
Yeah, I'm like the girlfriend in the Gremlins movie. Just have a horrible story about everything.
You're Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Wah, wah. All right. So we got Kev's closing fact here. I actually wrote shit down for once. Can you believe it?
Well, I can see the notepad. I can. Yeah.
It's like a full page of hand scratch.
Holy shit.
I know, man. I'm all about this now. I'm getting serious. Okay. December. It's a month.
Thank you.
How to get its name? I want you to know this.
It's tied in with it was the 10th month, like December. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, December, which is our 12th month, was originally named after decim, which was 10, decimal, and it was the 10th month of the early Roman calendar.
Yep. And then we got July for like Julius, and we got August for Augustus. Yeah. Julius Caesar,
I assume, was 7 at some point.
Yeah, Julius Caesar did like one thing to the calendar, and then someone else did something like shortly after. Caesar like mostly fixed it, but he fucked up leap years or something, and then someone else corrected that later. So I don't think he put in August because that wasn't his name, but I'm fuzzy on how that happened. Clearly.
That's all right. We can address it in FSQA next week.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, that's our show, folks. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter and follow us wherever, fine pods are cast.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Have a good one. Bye.
Week. I don't know why I said night.